What is up, everybody? It's Kamikaze here today, and today I wanted to talk about Call of Duty Mobile and their developers, and how sometimes they lack creativity with maps, and how that has definitely affected this game. This is an interesting video, and I want to hear your guys' opinion on this, so let's get right into it, guys. Alrighty guys, prepare yourselves for a shameless self-promotion. If you guys are new to the channel or have already watched some of my videos, please, if you could, like and subscribe. Always helps me out a lot. You know, we're trying to get to 2,000, 2,500 subscribers, so any sub helps. Now that we are done with that shameless self-promotion, I do also want to say that, you know, I'd like to hear your opinions on this. This is not just like me speaking into the mic. I want to hear what you guys have to say, because I always like hearing differing opinions. So if you want to, like, you know, DM me on Discord or something, or like talk, I'm willing to hear what you guys have to say, because I want to hear differing opinions, and I like to get kind of a discussion going about what you guys think about this. Just remember, please be respectful, don't be hateful and, you know, toxic and stuff. I just do want to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I feel like that is important. So yes, COD Mobile is uncreative. And I'm sorry to say that. You know, I have so much respect for the devs and what they've done, and they've made the best game in mobile ever. Like, literally ever. This is the best game we've ever had on the mobile platform. But I must say something about the way that they develop their game. They are so ridiculously uncreative that they can't even make new maps that are, like, actually new. Every single map, other than like 1 or 2 maps in this game, is recycled from a previous Call of Duty. Now, I admit, you know, that does have some positives and does have some pluses. You know, they kind of get to pick and choose which maps were the best and which maps were like the community's favorite in previous CODs. However, I must say, it does have some big downsides when it comes to this actual game. You know, they've managed to make some pretty cool maps. The only map that I don't like that is, like, recycled is Crossfire. I don't understand why they added that in the first place. Horrible map, campy map. I don't know why anyone would like that map. But other than that, they made some pretty cool maps that have some pretty cool tactics to them, and, you know, are pretty balanced. However, I must say something. When it comes to adding in these new maps, it destroys the storyline of this game, which is important in any game. You see, some of the most successful games out there are some of the ones that have the strongest storyline, that have a story behind them. COD Mobile has absolutely no story. I mean, it varies from map to map, and the maps are really the atmosphere of this game. They're what make this game, you know? Other than, like, balancing and stuff, you know, this is what makes the game this game. It is the maps. Whenever you drop into, you know, a new map, it has a different atmosphere. Every single map has a different atmosphere, and the issue is, I think, is that these maps range from futuristic all the way to, like, Wild West, okay? Like, there's literally one called Saloon, which is like a 2v2, 1v1 map that is, like, from the Wild West. And then we have all these random, like futuristic maps, like post-apocalyptic maps. And there's no storyline behind it, you know? You can't connect all that up unless it's like time travel or something. There's no storyline. And especially, I feel as though the storyline gets even weaker when we don't have a campaign mode inside this game. See, that is another thing in this, you know, we need a campaign mode. Okay, like, this game without, you know, we don't have zombies, we don't have a campaign mode. Like, this game is kind of incomplete, in my personal opinion. Like, it's definitely, like, looking at CODs on, like, PC and console games, this game, when it first came out, was, like, it was basically kind of like a dumbed-down version of that. It was, like, you know, very few attachments, very few maps, you know, it was just basically kind of like a dumbed-down version of that for, you know, PC players to play on mobile, like, on the go. Now, it's definitely evolved into much more than that, and they definitely made steps to try to make this feel more complete and more full by adding more attachments with Gunsmith, you know, adding a bunch of new guns, adding a bunch of new maps. But the issue is, I feel, is that, you know, we have a Battle Royale, we have multiplayer, but we have no campaign and we have new zombies, you know, and every single map is recycled. If you really want to make this game, and if you really want to, I think, entice players to play this game more, you know, you have to make some more creative maps, because I think that, you know, the maps were added in, the recycled maps that came into this game in the first place were meant for nostalgia. They wanted players to join this game and be like, you know, Black Ops players that played on PC, and basically, like, download this game so they could get downloads to play those maps, you know, from the past and stuff on mobile. That's what this game was kind of intended for in the first place, and that is what they wanted to do. They wanted to get players from PC and console, maybe not to play this as, like, their main game, of course, it's a mobile game. If you have a PC, you're probably not going to be playing a mobile game, but, you know, basically to get them to play this in their free time, kind of in, like, basically play this as a side thing. And it's definitely evolved much more than that. There are players here that play this as like their sole game, the only game that they play for ridiculous amounts of time, you know. There are players here that only play on mobile, and myself included, of course. And, you know, looking at this, I think the nostalgia does get somewhat old. If you want players, and if you want to get more players, you're going to have to come back. And I think this would even get players from console and PC even more. If you were to add in new maps, that would entice players, because nostalgia is great. But if you're going off of entirely nostalgia with this game, well, I think people are going to get bored of that quite quickly. It's cool to download and, you know, to play a couple times, but if you really want to get players, you know, sitting here and playing for a long time, you want to get outside of nostalgia, you know, hook them in with the nostalgia, and then, like, have those new maps and stuff that would make them interested and enticed. Because I feel like right now, you know, if you have longtime COD players, they're not going to download this game because they know that this is just the same exact maps that they've played so many times in other CODs. If you want players to come in from PC and console and stuff like that, and to come here, and even players that maybe haven't played too much of PC and console, you know, that just kind of know the maps, you want to bring in new stuff. And I feel like when every single season comes by, it's kind of unsurprising and it's kind of underwhelming somewhat because of that. You know, when we have all these new maps, like, look at Hackney Yard, okay? Like, when we knew that map was coming in, we knew exactly what it looked like from the start. You know, when we heard that Hackney Yard was going to be coming and it got leaked and stuff, we knew exactly what it was going to look like. Imagine the suspense when, you know, you talk about a new map coming in and you don't even show it. There's no way to even tell. That would be really surprising and, like, secret. And I'm not a huge fan of, like, the secrecy and stuff, and I've talked about that. But obviously, if COD Mobile wants to go down the side of secrecy and stuff and, you know, building suspense, they really have to get outside of literally adding in maps that were added into other CODs 5 years ago. That doesn't really make sense. People already know about those maps, so as soon as they hear they're coming in, you can picture in your head, like, oh, we know what map that is, okay, that's cool. Like, this game needs to differentiate itself from other COD titles. And it needs to basically, I think that if you're really going to get players in here, you need to get players from, you know, all sorts of different game modes. Because, like, zombies, the campaign, you know, the multiplayer, battle royale, this game only has half of that right now. It's missing a lot. So if you want to get new players in, I would say hold up on, you know, adding in the nostalgic maps and start adding in those new game modes and whatnot. And also add a storyline, you know, make some, and then, of course, make some maps that I feel would be new, that would revitalize the game, I think. Because, again, you know, this game is basically running off of nostalgia. And it's not just with maps. I know I talk about maps a lot, but it is not just maps. You look at the operator skills, you look at, you know, the guns, you know, lesser so than the maps, I would say. You know, there are some original guns and operator skills, but a lot of these guns that you see are just the same exact guns, just renamed. Like the Desert Eagle that came into this game was basically just from a previous COD. It's now called the .50 like GS or something, but it's literally the same exact thing as the Desert Eagle and other COD titles. Like, I think, you know, I don't really mind the guns as much as I do the maps, because the maps are the atmosphere of this game, and they get so wonky. I think, you know, all these CODs, they span between, you know, different themes, different time periods. It really doesn't make sense. You know, you go back to, like, the World War II, like, Shipment 1944 or whatever. Like, that makes no sense when you compare it to, like, Nuketown, this I can't speak, post-apocalyptic, like, war zone. They don't add up. It doesn't make sense, and you can't have a storyline behind that. Like, COD Mobile has just had absolutely nothing. Like, when you get into this game, you want to be immersed. You want to be immersed in, like, the storyline. And that's what the storyline's for. It's supposed to, like, immerse you in the game, make you feel like you were a part of the game. And right now, I just feel like I'm playing, and I just feel like I'm, like, shooting people. That sounds weird, but in the game, I'm shooting people in the game. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a purpose or there's, like, any sort of story behind it. You're just popping into a match and then getting kills. In the other CODs, I felt like there was a different feel to it because you kind of had a backstory. You had a background. All of these maps kind of intertwined. When you go from Shipment, you play a match in Shipment 1944, and then you go to Nuketown, that, you know, that purpose behind it, like that, like, backstory immediately goes away, and this game just starts to stop making sense. The characters, the battle passes, none of them particularly make sense. I mean, I get it, you have to have flashy characters, it's a mobile game, okay? They want characters with high contrast, high saturation, you know, crazy bright characters that people are going to, like, it's going to be eye-catching and whatnot. They want, you know, crazy themes, new stuff, to get people paying. And I get that. But, like, the characters are another thing. It makes no sense. That, like, we have, like, these robot things, and then we have, like, all these characters from World War II and stuff, from, like, the Call of Duty World War II, like, they don't add up. It doesn't make sense. So, I get it. I get being unoriginal, and I get wanting to add in stuff for nostalgia, but at the end of the day, I think that, you know, if you really want to get players, and you really want to get players downloading this game even more than already, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add in maps and characters and whatnot, whatever. You want to add in more original stuff, because there really is not that much. I mean, I can probably count on both my fingers the amount of original stuff inside of this game. Like guns, you know, and that counts for guns, operator skills, everything. I can count on my fingers, like both my hands, and that's it. Out of all the things that have been added in this game over the past year, that's it. Heck, you even look at the Battle Royale. Look at the locations in the Battle Royale. A lot of them are from previous COD maps, you know, previous locations in Battle Royales from the previous times, and even previous maps, like just multiplayer maps that have just been added into the Battle Royale. I would say the Battle Royale is the most original thing out of this entire thing, but it still has a lot of recycled things that just, I feel like it's less of nostalgia at this point, and I think it might be a little bit more of, like, I don't want to say laziness, because I know the developers are not lazy, they work very hard, but I feel like it's just, it's unoriginal, it's just not creative, and I think that, you know, creativity is important in this game, and if we had a little bit more creativity, this game would definitely get a lot more players. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you next time, guys. I love y'all. Bye.